Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Something a little bit different from me this week. We are going teeny tiny miniature. I actually got these gorgeous silicone inlays sent over to me from Wendy over at Toonpish Crafts. She's here on YouTube. If you don't follow her, get over there now. She actually did a video not long ago showing us how to make these. She actually used those stamps that you put in a wax seal. So yeah, wax seal stamps, and she put silicone on the end of those wax seal stamps. Oh my gosh, that's quite a mouthful. And she got these stunning miniature inlays using that technique. Now the mold I'm using, I think I got from Temu. Why can't I remember? I think this was one of my Temu purchases, but I'm pretty sure I've also found it on Amazon as well. And this is just like almost like a diamond cut edge or faceted edge pendant mold, and I thought this would be absolutely perfect to use with these teeny tiny inlays because the molds themselves are pretty small. Now Wendy did send these inlays to me quite a while ago. They are all Halloween though, so I just put them to one side and I knew I would be coming back for them when my Halloween videos started. I'm going to be using the Just For You Online UV resin, the Apex UV resin in this project. And I was just nervous. I had no idea if this would work. Now this is very similar to the cling film technique, the polyurethane technique, or like you've seen me do last year and the year before, put actual silicone inlays down in resin as well. It's a pretty similar technique. The only difference is that these silicone inlays are wafer thin, like wafer thin, paper thin, super delicate, super detailed. My biggest fear was that I'm literally gonna lay them down and they're gonna sink. So what I didn't want was to lay them down into anything deeper than like 1 millimeter of resin. So I decided to lay down a thicker layer into this pendant mold. You could see what I did there. I laid down quite a lot of UV resin just to build them up in order to be able to put my inlays down. I hit them all with my long neck lighter and just made sure that I had no bubbles in there whatsoever. And like you see me doing here, I'm just taking a little bit out because in a couple of them I did over pour slightly. Now my plan is to cure this first layer. My inlays are not going in to this first layer, so I cured that first layer for 200 seconds. Then it was time to choose my inlays. I cannot cope with how cute these are. Like Wendy has got the patience of a saint. I'm not even kidding. Like the idea of me sitting there and making these inlays, it just wouldn't happen, guys. It would not happen. If you are interested in these, of course contact Wendy. Wendy does have a website where she sells everything that she makes, which is admirable. I don't know how she has the time, but she's incredible. Now that first layer has fully cured, so now I'm just laying down a super thin layer, and in the hopes that when I lay down these really delicate thin paper thin inlays that they will just sit on the top and they won't go in to the resin and I'll completely lose them. I would have to dig them out. So this whole process was not only nerve-wracking but kind of risky in a way because I really didn't want to destroy the inlays, rip the inlays, or do anything bad that might hurt the inlays at all. I guess one of the other things was just working out what inlay to put into what pendant. Not all of the inlays would necessarily fit, but then they might not necessarily work either. And honestly, the skull is up there as one of my favorites alongside the apothecary bottles. She's made some beautiful, really detailed, look at this, like potion bottles. And this one was worrying me because it had lots of holes in it, natural holes where there was not meant to be silicone. So I was thinking, oh, once I lay that down, the silicone could seep up and under and over, and it's literally like bye-bye silicone inlay. They were honestly so tiny, you can't even see them. Once I've laid them in the resin, it's like they disappear in places. So yeah, I'll be honest, my heart was in my mouth throughout this entire project, and I'm not even exaggerating. And I think the reason for that is that these were sent to me as a gift, and it would really hurt my soul if I if I broke them or ripped them or lost them in resin. So I guess, you know, but that's the whole point, isn't it? That's what they're there for. They're there to be used in resin, and I'm here to show you if they work or not in UV. That's the other thing. I was nervous because it was UV. I was just generally nervous this day. This is what they are looking like when they were fully cured for another 200 seconds, and I could not believe how easy they just peeled out. Like, I know silicone inlays peel out of resin really, really easy, but my brain was telling me that they were going to sink, that the resin was going to come up and over. That just did not happen. Every single inlay floated like a dream on the top of the UV resin, and I had absolutely nothing to worry about. But I think it's always good to be cautious and just go slowly and take your time. This inlay here, guys, check it out. It's a tiny little witch's cat. How cute is that? I mean, honestly, massive thank you to Wendy over at Toonpish Crafts for sending these to me, because they were so fun to play with. Even the apothecary bottles, like this one here, the witch's potion bottle, super detailed, really fiddly. You think something is fragile, but actually it's not at all. They came away like I couldn't have asked for them to come away any better than they did. Now, the one thing to make sure that you do is actually lay them down in the right way. Otherwise, you're just gonna not get the proper print. And because they're so tiny and it's so detailed, it was pretty hard to make sure that you've got them going in the right way. Next up, of course, it has to be, doesn't it? It has to be the Let's Resin Chameleon powders. These are the powders that are going to bring these pendants to life. Now, if you are familiar with the cling film technique and the polyurethane technique, you know what we're going for here. If you don't, then we're really looking for that kind of embossed aesthetic. We're looking for the fact that those inlays are going to create a 3D image when we demold and bring these out and look at them from the other way. And the actual chameleon powder is just giving us a backing color at this point. Now, the one thing I will say is that I noticed a massive difference between the way UV resin accepts chameleon powder. It felt like UV resin kind of repelled the chameleon powder. In the places where I've embossed it, it was fine, but then around the outer edge, I don't know, can you see? It just looks like it didn't take it, and sometimes it looks like that, but it has taken. So yeah, it was a bit of a a bit of a mystery. Did it work? Is this gonna come out okay? So yeah, I just carried on going. You can really see it in that one. I was struggling. I was thinking, this is not even clinging to the UV resin at all. Now, funnily enough, we've all done the UV resin raindrop techniques, and you saw that I did the space technique using that UV resin technique, and it was fine. It was fine. You know, it all worked out perfectly fine. So I knew that the chameleon powder does stick to UV. It just didn't look like it was doing it here. But you know what? It all worked out okay. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, it all worked out okay. Now, for me, the pigment I'm using now, I felt like it was clinging way more than the magenta or the purple that I used before. So I did go over them all again with the blue, and I thought, even if they mix colours, even if we've got 2 or 3 or 4 different tones in there, it's going to be absolutely fine. So just do that until you are completely and utterly covered. Next up, to finish the backgrounds, we're actually going to use the polyurethane. This is not epoxy, this is polyurethane Polycraft MB fiberglass. Now, I actually purchased this myself from I Love Mixed Media. I will link her website down below. This is a crazy resin. If you're new to my channel and you've not seen this before, this is a polyurethane resin. This is measurable 1:1 by weight. Do not make much. I would say don't ever make more than 60 or 70 grams at any one time. This stuff is a 30-second mix. So we stir for just 30 seconds and we pour immediately. Like, immediately. This stuff starts to go off after just 1 minute, and we can demold after 10 minutes. So honestly, I think as far as projects go, it doesn't get any quicker than UV and polyurethane. Like UV resin can be cured within what, 5 minutes max, depending on how many layers you do. For me, it's 200 seconds per layer, so 400 seconds. And then the polyurethane is cured within 10 minutes. So like this is one of the fastest resin projects. And look at this. Look at this little ghosty. Absolutely adorable. So adorable. And they're so small. Like, I'm hoping you can see just how small they are. The skull came out super cool. I love every element of it. And I love the chameleon powder. The color changing, the color shift works so well. I'm sorry. How cute is the cat? How cute is the cat? She's even got eyelashes and you can see them on the inlay. Like, it's insane, the detail that has been picked up in such a teeny tiny mold. This is probably my favorite, I have to say, the apothecary bottle, the witch's potion bottle. Look at the detail. Absolute detail. And I love the fact that the chameleon powder has got that different shade in there, as opposed to this one, which is pretty much the same inlay, but it's got a different reaction. It's got a different kind of look about it. The ghost was super cute. Now the ghost was too big for the mold, but I just put the head in and I left the bottom of the bed sheet hanging out the side of the mold, and that also worked so well. And these are just delightfully delicate. They are teeny tiny diddy little pendants. Now they could easily be earrings. They are that small and they are so light in weight. But honestly, this was fun. This was fun, if not heart palpitation inducing. But thank you so much to Wendy for sending these over to me as a gift. This is not a paid promotion. She did not pay me to do this. She sent them to me as a gift. She was not expecting a video. So yeah, it's not a paid promotion, guys. I'm just sharing with you what she sent me. And if you wanted to get your hands on these, then Wendy has them over on her website, I think. Now, I did finish them off with some of these clasps. I'm not sure I'm feeling them, to be honest. Not sure how to finish them off. I just think a simple jump ring and a black faux rope is just gonna do the job perfectly. I absolutely love them. They're so dinky and detailed and delicate and spooky, and I love that as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you feel inspired to do something similar. If you do, don't forget #Claire made me do it. I appreciate you all. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.